Okay, guys. So another very special show today. Again, we have very interesting guests, and I'm very excited to have you on. Again, somebody who is not familiar with this man's face so far. Again, you should go and follow him. They just reached 10K on Instagram. So again, congratulations with that. That's a big achievement, for you guys. I know that. There's the shameless plug. But Frank Patalano, am I pronouncing your surname right?
Patalano. Yep.
Patalano, Frank Patalano. That's a Italian surname, right?
Yes, yes.
Sounds like
My
it.
father was Italian.
Got it. So you're gonna see this. The bio is very cool, guys. So he's been investing in real estate for about 15 years and multifamily for over 10. Starting out as a school teacher, he used his income to buy more and more investments until he generated enough money to leave his full-time job. So he's work free. Frank is passively or actively involved in about 950 doors in 6 markets across the United States. He has been expanding into other real estate related projects. So one of those is real estate educational company podcast called CashFlow Kings. You should go and subscribe definitely on YouTube, on Instagram, not Instagram, iTunes. Of course, it's going to be on YouTube as well, I'm sure. Virtual assistant business called RealAgentHelper. And he has experience in single, multifamily, commercial rentals. Frank has also some experience in hard money lending, new construction, and fix and flips. So quite a bio over here, man. It's just, impressive. And, I'm just very excited to have you on and just dig deep into, some good questions. So thanks for
Thank
being
you. Thank you. It's actually awesome. We just hit on Instagram. The CashFlow Kings just hit 10,000 followers this morning. So that was pretty cool.
here. Here you go, the CashFlow Kings. And again,
Yeah.
I love the shirt. So it's
Oh yeah.
awesome.
Always
Like,
staying busy.
yeah. So it's great. Like, this is a great man. Like, I've been following you, for quite a while. Like, I saw your journey, not even on Instagram going to the 10K, but just, in real estate business, and like you're doing tremendous things going around. Like, yes, you have a speaking event coming up. I seen that on the post. So you just going places, and you building your own success and your own wealth with this real estate business, but you're helping others to achieve the same and more at the same time. So, that's phenomenal. So again, for the people who never saw you, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, maybe you can give a little bit of your bio and the story, how first of all you got involved into real estate and transition from being a school teacher into full-time real estate investing.
Sure. So when I was a kid, my dad owned, a couple properties, but nothing crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't want me to learn a thing, so I never learned how to lift a hammer or anything else. But I always looked up to him a lot. He was a police officer and stuff like that. But he was older when he had me, and he died when I was in high school. And one of the things he told me to do is he said, go get a college degree and go get a real job. So I decided to become a teacher, and I taught history and geography for about 17 years. But as you know, schools change a lot, and people, I guess I always went back to my roots of wanting to be an entrepreneur and own some real estate. So I read that book that everybody loves called Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And about 15 years ago, I bought my own house at the top of the market. And more importantly, I bought my first multis about 10 years ago. And just go one step at a time. I bought a triplex in Rhode Island, and then bought another one and another one the next year and stuff like that. One or two every year until I get to the point that I've generated enough income that I don't need to work. Sometimes I'll take a little side thing here or there, or I'll stay busy with something else. I'm married. My wife still loves doing her job. She still works, and we have 3 kids at home. So one thing that's really cool is that I can walk my twins that are in elementary school. I can walk them to school every morning, stuff like that. So that's really awesome.
Yeah.
And sometimes I joke that I'm a little too lazy, but then people say, "Oh my God, you see how much stuff you guys get done in the course of a week?" So it's all about managing expectations, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great. Like, because again, there's a lot of people, like particularly in the States, like I'm not from there, except the flag that I have hanging, beside me. So it's a lot of people not in the US, like all over like Europe, you name it, all over the world, and people having this, like they work 9 to 5 or 9 to 9, 9 to 12. People do some crazy hours. I know I did. So, you know, and you like, you want that freedom. I had, again, maybe spend some time with the family as you do, like taking, you know, kids to school and then coming back, you have your free time, and like, you know, you're not under pressure. Like you always have to go and do, you know, stuff. And still you're meeting the ends like every month or every week. So, you know, for those people who are watching and they still have the full-time job, what will be your one piece of advice for them if they're looking to get involved into real estate? Like, where should they get started?
So the main thing to get started with, and I know many people probably say it, is the concept of knowledge. Read as much as you can, listen to these podcasts, watch videos, stuff like that, and get to the point where you start to feel a little comfortable. And especially, I don't know all the rules, all the tax rules and everything else in other parts of the world, but in in the United States, just the way they have it set up, there are tax benefits to owning real estate, and there are leverage opportunities where you can get a 30-year mortgage or a 15-year mortgage on properties. And they really want you to own real estate, because people that own real estate are more productive to society in some ways here in the United States. That's what they're considered. You know, they're renting to other people that need help. Uh, we're fixing up properties all the time, helping others have a decent place to live. You know.
Yeah, yeah, and the government look at you like these people who are looking to just because you're gonna like when you're gonna fix up the building, it's gonna look nicer, the neighborhood is gonna look better, so you're just improving stuff, and that's why the government gives a lot of tax, you know, advantages for these business owners.
Yeah,
So
and not just that though. So
yeah,
also, besides just knowledge, think about saving, but don't save just to stick it into a bank. And I know there are countries right now that are giving like negative interest rates or almost zero, but start building that money up. And depending on when you release this, I mean, the stock market hasn't been doing too well the past day or two, stuff like that. You got to get out there and you have to invest it. Okay, whether it's starting just a small business, some way to, I don't care if you're buying some soda cans and resell them at a higher price, or sneakers or video games or anything else. Start with that entrepreneurial mold, and then over time, then you can try to buy some real estate. I mean, shoot, I've bought deals. I'm not sure where you guys have it there, but I've bought deals no money down. There was a property, a single family, that the guy I knew, he did not want to deal with the property anymore. He owned it, but he didn't want to go through fixing it up because people want top dollar when it's nice. So he sold it to me at a discount. He actually held a mortgage on it for a few years while I fixed it up and rented it out.
yeah. So there is ways to get involved into real estate, even if you don't have. I mean, it comes down to creativity and the knowledge, like. But you know, that's where a lot of people get stuck in that because they think like most of the people that I had, you know, as a guest on, they're like, I always thought, you know, particularly multifamily, that it's for rich people. Like you have to be a billionaire to acquire all these like $50 million. And there is a way to do that, like through real estate syndication. But I mean, you have to be sophisticated enough to know how to raise like capital and how to put these deals together. There's a lot of moving different pieces, so it takes time and effort to you know to start running this type of business. But everybody can buy a house, you know.
Absolutely.
That's an easy start. So where did you start it? I mean, because you in the bio, as I mentioned, you did the construction, fix and flips. So like when you was a teacher, what was the first? Have you bought houses? You fixed them, flip, and sold them. Like what was your kind of entry point in real estate?
So I tried a few things, and actually my first try, I actually lost money. I bought some vacant land in Massachusetts at an auction in New York City, and I lost $20,000 on that. And many people would have given up right there and stopped. But what I did is my first one was that I really started to make money was buying a triplex in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And what I did was, at the time, it was worth about, it was for sale, it was a foreclosure, it was for sale around $130,000.
Mm-hmm.
And they made me put down 25%. So, you know, about 32,000 or so. I actually had a little bit of stock, so I sold a few shares of stock, and just everything else was saving. And so we bought that. We immediately rented one of the units, and then we fixed up another one, and we rented it, and then we fixed up the third. And I got to be honest with you, even at that price, I didn't make money on it the first couple of years. It took a lot of time, effort, a little bit of personal property management on my own in order for that place to start to cash flow. It took a little while. Okay, you know, 1 year would be a new roof, next year would be the heating system, then maybe a couple water heaters, you know, stuff like that. And the rents were low, but what was beautiful was that over, you know, a couple of years, you could gradually raise rents just like it would go with inflation. And you could start to pay down the mortgage and you could start to build some equity. So, I mean, right now that property is worth around 300,000, but I don't plan on selling it because it's generating cash flow each and every month.
And that's what you in this game for, as your t-shirt said, cash flow kings. That cash flow is the king, right?
Yes, it's more
Yeah.
important than cash itself. The cash flow, it pays you. It's basically you have properties and stocks and everything else that's paying you every single month. It's paying you
Yeah.
something positive in return. So I mean, there are people that sit on cash right now. I mean, I have a friend that hates real estate, and they have, you know, $50,000 sitting in the bank at a bank account, and it's like that's not only is it not making any money because of interest rates, but you know, the American dollar is going down in value as many other
Inflation.
currencies
Yeah.
are. It's a fiat currency.
Yeah, exactly. But due to inflation, yeah. So can we talk? Can we just a little bit expand on that? That I think that will be a good topic again. You know, the mindset. You know, because again, a lot of people have a false perspective. As I said, you know, like acquire these multifamily properties, you have to be a billionaire or like super rich. It's only for those type of people. So again, like, how did you start? Like, because I know you got involved in the business, like buying these, you know, single family houses, but like have you educated yourself and like what ways have you did that? Because again, like in a traditional educational system, you have a completely different mindset. You don't need a business mindset. So how did you transition from that to that? Like how did you, you know, like develop yourself?
Yeah, so public schools in the United States very much have an employee mindset. You're right. We're training people in order to work for others. But I don't know. I guess I lucked out and just watching people over time. I said, "Wow!" And I tried to learn as much as I could about having an entrepreneurial or a business owner mindset. Where Rich Dad talks about it the best when people look at a brand new car, they say, "Oh, I can't afford it." It's like, no, no, no. You have to question it. You don't put it as a statement with a period at the end. You're like, "How
Hmm.
can I afford it?" You
Yep.
try to think of creative ways around it. And you think of creative ways all the time. One of the things I taught my kids at school was that everybody has $1 million idea in their head. Most people just forget about it, but some people actually do things with it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
make it work. They motivate. But I'll give you an example. I have a buddy of mine. He's a contractor. He makes less than $50,000 a year. But right now we're trying to find him, and I know the market's a little hot for it in this area. We're trying to find him a nice triplex or four family or quadruplex in order to buy it. And in the United States, they let you buy it with as little as 3.5% down,
Hmm.
which is really cool. So if you have a house that's worth 300,000, you can buy it for as little as $10,000 or $12,000 down. You know, and you can count part of the rents as income when you buy the property if you're going to live there.
Yeah. That's
So
awesome. Yeah. So here you go. I mean, that's the mindset that you know you should have. And again, I love that, by the way, that you're helping like your friends and you know like people around you, you know, so that's really awesome. So again, for the people who are like brand new in the space, like they're looking to get involved because they see everybody, oh, it's almost everybody, their friends, family, like people getting involved into real estate now. It's the boom, like it's a you know it's a buyer's market. So what do you think? What will be the risks for people, you know, so they would pay attention to those before they go and invest?
sure. So risks. The main thing you got to think about is that markets run in cycles. Okay. I'm not saying that we're at the top, but just be conservative or be careful when you're buying stuff. Make sure you run the numbers. And I've been wrong on numbers before as well. Just think about how much it's actually going to cost to maintain the property and how much you're actually going to get for rents and try to figure that out. So, or if you're doing a fix and flip, figure out what you're going to pay for it. If you have a house that's going to be worth 200,000 and you're buying it for 125, it depends on the market. If you're putting $40,000 into it, then you can make money there. But you never know. If you think you have to put $75,000 into that property, you're not making any profit because you have holding costs. And what if there's an oops or something in the wall you didn't expect or a crack in some kind of heating pipe? There's plenty of problems. You just need to make offers and price it right. Okay. One of the things that's cool about real estate is that it's free to look. So, I mean, you can go out there and look at properties. We have Lowe's and Home Depots around, which they have free trainings and classes on how to teach how to paint and stuff like that. I mean, there's plenty of options, opportunities, and it's all about education. I call it the three-legged stool approach. Okay, I talked about this. We had a viral post on Bigger Pockets last year. We had over 3,700 comments. And basically, people ask all the time, the question was, so what's holding you back in real estate? And for most people to be successful, you need to be good at one of three things. Okay, you either need to be, you need to have experience, you need to have money, or you need to have time. And most people starting out have a lot of time, so go out there and use it. You know, go out there and network, go out there and learn, go out there and see things. And if you can find that, and then you're going to build experience through that time. If you can find something that you feel is a good deal, someone might give you a few bucks or something, even if it's just knowledge helping you along the way. I'm helping people all the time.
Yeah, yeah, and I can see that. I mean, you're helping us right now by doing this podcast, so we really appreciate, for you doing that. So what will be the things maybe, when you're touring the property, maybe we're not going to go with the multifamily, but, for the single family homes, because I think that will be an entry point for somebody who's looking to get involved with the real estate. So like, what is the things and, indicators, like if you're going to buy it or not?
Okay, so I own a few single families right now. Basically, the first thing, especially if you don't know anything about real estate or almost anything, is I would try to bring someone with you that has a little more experience with you.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a real estate agent who's a professional, or just like a handyman or contractor, or even a friend that knows how to fix things up, and have them walk through a few properties with you. And so you can start to look at things and say, oh, I like the way that looks, or oh, that looks like it needs to be fixed. And over time, you start to learn. So we have a heating system, an older heating system around called a snowman. That's the nickname for it. It's basically this very old heating system that they used to cover with asbestos to keep it all insulated and everything else. And I saw my first snowman about 7 or 8 years ago, and I went up to it and I gave it a big hug. I said, I've never seen one of these before. They said, oh my God, you just put asbestos all over yourself. It was just like a cool thing, and I didn't get hurt or sick or anything else, but you start to see new things. Every single property you go into, you see something new.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, what you mentioned is so true. If you just bring somebody who's already doing the thing that you want to do, if that will be a single family or, fourplex, just bring a sophisticated, investor that already is active, doing those deals.
Well, you want to spend a lot of time with people that are smarter than you anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
I always like the rule. I don't know who came up with it, but you are the average of your 5 closest friends.
It's probably
So,
Jim Rohn or one of those people.
probably Jim Rohn. So I literally, around the time I started to buy property, I wrote down a list on a piece of cardboard of 5 of my closest friends. And I'm still friends with all of them. I still love them, everything else. But I wrote down their name. I wrote down what I thought their average salary was over the course of a year. And I also wrote down what part of the cash flow quadrant they would be in. Were they an employee? Were they self-employed? Were they an investor? Were they a big business person? I really didn't know any big business people, and almost everybody on that list was an employee. And I said, you know what? I got to move beyond that. And I still have the same friends, but I also have more friends now, and many of them are more in the investor or self-employed space. Okay, so now if I write down my 5 closest friends, I think of people that own 200 units or stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's super important. I mean, it's the truth. Like, I don't know who came up with that rule again, Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar. There was a bunch of people that said the same thing, but it's the truth. Like, it's life facts. And like, if you're going to stay around, like stick around the people that, they don't support your ideas, or like everything you do is just like, no, man, it's not going to work. And it's like all the negativity comes down from those type of people. It will discourage you, because in the beginning you need that, lift to go and do stuff, because maybe you just don't have at the moment in you. So you need somebody who will support you. So again, for the support, there's a lot of mentorships right now that people offering 6 figures, 5 figures, mentorships. And, for brand new people who are looking to get involved into this business, would you recommend for them to get the business mentor?
I go back and forth on it. We do offer mentoring as well. Our mentoring is a lot less expensive. We do basically $75 an hour for mentoring,
Okay.
and basically you can pick the amount of time that you need. I worry about people that are spending the price of a whole college education, 30, 40, $50,000 in order to get a mentor. I do know people that do it, and I know people that have
Yeah.
been successful because it's just like throwing you into a pool and you don't know how to swim. It is definitely one way to learn quickly.
Yeah.
But it all depends on your own mindset. It depends on if you can set up your own goals and habits to be successful. I mean, we've offered stuff like that where just once a week phone calls, see where you are, see how we can help you, stuff like that. I do worry about spending more than about $2,000 or $3,000 on that to start. Will it help you? Absolutely. But it also, especially if you don't have a lot of cash to start, it really affects how you can put down payments, stuff like that. I mean, you could also work with a partner too, which would help. But basically, in the end, you just need to have the mindset and have an accountability partner. Whether you're paying for that partner or you're not paying for that partner, you need someone that's willing to tell you how it is, like it is, and hey, listen, you're not doing enough. You suck. Get out there and do it.
Yeah, yeah. If you can take that, I mean, because there's a lot of people that are sensitive, and like it's business. Like you need to like man up or woman up and just get like, because life is harsh. Like we talk with wives sometimes. Like life is like, it's good, like, but you have to be like hard sometimes. So
Absolutely.
having those people that will tell you straight in the face, like, man, you suck. Like, go and do stuff, and just that is awesome. Like, we definitely need those type of people in our lives.
Well, I've
So
had free mentors like that over the years. I had a guy that was very hard on me about 5 or 6 years ago. He says, "You're not working hard enough. You're not doing enough. You should own this many properties by now." Flat out told me at a real estate meeting one time, and
how
that
did you
pissed me
react?
off a little bit.
So
Uh,
what did you
it
do after?
so it pissed me off a lot because I did see him as a mentor, even though it wasn't officially a mentor relationship. Um, what I did is I went back and said, you know what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? And in the end, I got to be honest with you. This you might not want to hear this, but I didn't change that much because I had a system that I was working. And one thing you'd find crazy is about 2 years later, he came back to me. He was going through a foreclosure, and he says, "You know what? Maybe you were right on some of this."
Wow.
You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, exactly. So even though like it sounds like it's a mentor, you sometimes need to evaluate and see like where you are, what position you're,
In the end, you need to make choices on your own.
yeah,
You could be right, you could be wrong. Just you have to be honest with yourself and keep moving. Just like a ship in the ocean. If
yeah.
I'm trying to go from my house to Europe, a 1 degree turn can really affect where I end up landing. You know what I mean? Over
Mm-hmm.
the long haul.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it depends, like who you take for advice from, because again, at that moment, you realize like, whoa, I need to go and take a look back on the drawing board and see what I'm doing right, what wrong, and you like for you find out like, no, I'm on the right path. But for some people that maybe they just take the advice and they don't even look at the background, like what type of person is giving their advice. Because no, I did that mistake myself. I looked at the people before I started, business, got involved with the business. I looked at the people who are in 40s, 50s, 60s, older than me. And I always assume that these type of people are giving me advice and it's a solid, good advice. I didn't look at their background and like, oh, like, are they business like minded? Are they successful in life? I just looked at them like they're in 50s. Like they know, they must know something. And I used to take those advice.
Yeah, no, with advice, yeah, no. If they have more money than me, I'm willing to take their advice a lot more. Number one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Number two, it's kind of like I've heard it before. They say that if someone that's working harder than you says you're working too hard, that's one thing. But there's
Mm,
not a lot of people that might be working harder than you. A lot of people say, "Oh, slow down, relax, this and that." It's like, yeah, I'll relax when I'm dead.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Who knows? Maybe after that, you're gonna still keep going. Who
Yeah.
knows? We're gonna see you around somewhere. So it's awesome, man. That's the perspective that people should get. So again, coming back to personal development, maybe the people who are listening, they think like $75 an hour, that doesn't sound a lot. But, you know, maybe for somebody, they're just scraping pennies. And like, I do understand, like times are tough for some people. So just like, maybe they can find, you know, 15, $20 in their pocket to grab a few books from, you know, Amazon.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what those type of 3 business or personal development books would be?
All right, so back to the concept of money. You don't need any money to start in this business. You can go to the library and read plenty of books for free. You have this podcast. We have Instagram. There are plenty of free ways to gain knowledge.
Yeah.
Um, if you want a step up, that's why we charge, because I only have so much time in the day in order to you know, get things done, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
3 books. Let's see. I hadn't planned on that. Number 1, the Cashflow Quadrant. I know everybody says Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's a great book, but the Cashflow Quadrant was actually the first Robert Kiyosaki book that I read, and it
Yeah.
talked about those 4 different types of people: employees, self-employed, big business owners, and investors. And you got to figure out that 99% of people spend their whole life as an employee.
Yeah.
But you have to get out there and you have to be investing. You have to make your money work for you.
Mm.
Okay. Let's see, another book, Atomic Habits. Just the whole concept of habits and goal setting. Atomic Habits is a great book. Let's see, a third one, huh?
It's a tough question. I know. Sorry.
That's okay. So it depends on what industry you're in. But if you're focusing on real estate, just find a good book on real estate and a specific book on real estate. So Bigger Pockets has a bunch of different books on real estate.
Yep.
I like syndication. So Joe Fairless has a great book on syndications right now.
Have it there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see it in the background.
Yeah. Great.
But yeah, there's tons of books. I mean, I have stacks all the time. I just grabbed a book on a different type of retirement investing called QRPs by Damian Lupo. I'm not recommending it. I haven't even cracked it open yet, but I just got it for free at the best ever conference I was at.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I seen David Lupo. I think he was on Whitney Show sometime
Yeah.
on a show. So yeah,
Yeah.
great guy. Yeah.
Damien. Yeah.
Damien. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Damien Lupo. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
great.
just like that little hat that you have there, that Cashflow hat. I mean, I've read a bunch of Cardone's books, stuff like that. I wouldn't say that I would specifically recommend one, but just get out there and read as much as you like, and you're gonna find books that really say something to you. You
Yeah.
know, like there's another one, Russell Brunson. I like a lot of his books. It's about there's another book called Tribes. So I start spouting off. If
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
follow us, you're following us on Instagram. We have a whole highlights. In our highlights, we have a whole book recommendation list, so you can just click through and see tons of different books. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
the Millionaire Next Door talks about how there are so many people that are worth $1 million that you don't even know about. Just people that are quiet, live in their neighborhoods. I have a hashtag once in a while I use called Millionaires Drive Toyotas. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember the book, The Millionaire Next Door. I mean, because it caught my attention. I was a bookstore. I think they still sell it in the bookstores. And I remember I saw it like that was even before the business. I saw the book. I was like, man, that's probably. I looked at it like I saw like there's dollars like on a book cover, and it was like, oh, what is this book like Millionaire? And you know, and I opened it and I started reading like millionaires go and buy the pickup trucks and like they save money, and somehow like the common sense just switched on and was like, man, that's not it. That's not it. That wasn't it, you know. So, but there's definitely great books. The ones that you mentioned, like Cashflow Quadrant, definitely recommend. Super great book. When I read it, changed my entire life. You know, like when we talk about employee, self-employed, business owner, big business networks, that's the rich people. The rich people love the word networks, you know. So that's why I love talking with people like yourself to get to know, like, you know, like, because your network is your network, right? So like who do
Absolutely.
you know? But more than that, like who knows you? So it's super important. So again, like it's great book, teaches a lot of, you know, wealthy, you know, people mindset principles. So definitely, yeah, I recommend. So transitioning to the podcast, I would love to, you know, just talk about the CashFlow Kings podcast and your real estate agent helper VA business. So maybe we
Sure.
can start with the CashFlow, you know, podcast. Just, you know, tell people what do you talk about in it? Like, you know, what's the topics, how long you had it, and like where are you going with it?
Sure. So the CashFlow Kings, we're on Apple. We're on Spotify, and we're on Google Play. And you can easily connect through Instagram for us too. It's a nice little green icon that looks like a shield with money and everything else. Really cool. And what we try to do is we try to teach people, especially kind of like your podcast, we try to teach people that are more on the starting out side about how to make money in mostly the real estate game, but also businesses.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big ways to get started in real estate in the United States right now is called house hacking,
Mm-hmm.
which is where you buy a multifamily, you live in one of the units, and then you go from there. And it allows you to grow and save on your own rental payments to yourself, basically.
Yeah.
Uh, I we have a lot of other people on though. We've had people that talk about. There was a girl. She's a world traveler. Her name's Brooke Tomasetti, and she actually owns a triplex. And she lives in one of the units, but she's also a world traveler. She works for a media company, and she can basically work from anywhere. It's an online social media company. So she's house hacking, but at the same point, she's traveling and living her dream, which is really cool. We've had some big names on there. We've had Rod Cleef talk about how he went from a multimillionaire down to zero and then came back, which is really
Yeah,
amazing.
that's a crazy story. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, we have there's another guy, Mark Perry. Mark Perry was from St. Louis. He got involved in drugs a little bit when he was a kid. He went to jail for it, and he turned his life around through real estate. And now he's a multimillionaire, and he's doing some big deals. I got to meet him in Baltimore, stuff like that. Tons of great stories about people that were
Yeah.
successful. And I mean, sometimes we talk about losing money too. We'll give some educational ones. We've done one on, let's see, just using other people's money and leverage. We've done one on using other people's time and how to use professionals the right way. You know, there's tons of different podcasts. We've put out probably about 30 something, and we do some syndication stuff too. We try not to talk about that because that's not what the main focus of our podcast is. The main focus of our podcast is to help others with money, mindset, and with an emphasis in cash flowing real estate.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great podcast. I'd like definitely recommend to go and subscribe in iTunes, and it's a great show. You've been running. How long you been doing this podcast for now?
So we don't go crazy. We release 2 a month. We got other businesses, other stuff going on. We post on Instagram every day, but we
Yeah.
release podcasts about 2 a month. I think we just released our 30th episode.
Here you go. So it's a
The
great.
30th was with Ellie Perlman. She grew up in Israel. She was a lawyer, and she wanted to own real estate. She wanted to live a better life. She moved to the United States, and now she buys large multifamilies with others. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. She's doing great. Yeah, I know Ellie. Like, I would love to have her in the show as well. So maybe if she's watching, Ellie, come on.
She
So
might sometimes. I actually sat down with her the other day. We were hanging out for a few minutes and talking.
yeah. She's great. I love, because again, it's like I know I'm gonna be doing an episode with Alina Trigub.
Oh
Because I
yeah,
know,
so,
like, yeah, when I see the ladies like in real estate space, it's just it's like, wow, man, it's very impressive, because it's kind of a real estate that's kind of a man space, right? Like for the men, and like dressed in suits, and everybody's sophisticated and talking, the talk, and I understand that, but when I see the ladies, it's like, man, this is awesome, because you
so
just pushing.
Alina is one of the smartest women I know. I sat with her on a panel, and I was looking at her in awe. She really is wicked smart. We'll say that.
Yeah. Can't wait to have her an interview with her as well. So, what about Real Agent Helper? Can you talk about the VA business, and why did you decide to open a VA business, and what you're planning to do with it? What type of services do you offer?
Sure. So Real Agent Helper, and you can go to realagenthelper.com. We're also on Instagram, everywhere else. Basically, what we do is we provide services to people specifically in real estate, but it doesn't have to be in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And we have virtual assistants that help in 4 major ways. The first major way is like social media support. A second way would just be a secretary replacement, somebody that could basically answer phones for you and do paperwork for you. We have another way is just like not social media, email and CRM stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have people that you want to figure out and place them into different groups and send out emails to them,
Yeah.
And the last way would be email and calendar management is another big one too, where people
Yeah.
just want. So you might take one of our virtual assistants and you might give them access to your email, and they'll clean up the email and they'll put up all the stuff onto a calendar for you and what you have coming up, etc. It's really cool, and basically it's a lot less expensive than hiring someone full-time in your own office, because we are leveraging other parts of the world. Most of our agents are from the Philippines,
Yeah.
and they speak great English. They have Filipinos have a very hard, good work ethic.
Hmm.
Everything else, I haven't had to worry about one of them yet. And basically, we can give them they get paid better than what than they would normally get paid in the Philippines,
Yeah.
and we can give a discount to people that use them here in the United States. And in we don't have any clients in Europe yet, but we could. It's not really that big of a difference.
Yeah. 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 That is great. So, because again, like real estate business, if somebody's really, if you're watching, if you're running real estate business, you understand like it's a full-time job already, and like having all these tasks, like social media, answering phones, calendar, and maybe sometimes it could be frustrating because again, like, and I'm always saying to real estate people, like, because again, I have a social media company as well. We work with real estate companies, and it's like everybody, like I mentioned, the client said, like, look, Martin, like, I don't want to learn how to do social media. Like, this is not my intent. Like, I'm a real estate investor, and that's what I'm going to do. And that's what you're saying, the calendar, the phone calls, CRMs, like, if you're looking to run a business, like, delegate the tasks, those, daily, boring so-called tasks, to other people and to other companies. Fairly simple, because I'm doing exactly the same, for myself. So 2020 goals, again, March is just starting in a few days, 28th of February for people who are watching. So maybe you can tell people and share some of the personal business goals that you're planning to accomplish this year.
Sure. So personal business goals. Oof, you didn't prep me for this one. Let's see. So for Real Agent Helper, we honestly do not make any money necessarily. I've not pulled a dime out of that business yet. We've had it for over a year. It's just sitting there growing, and what it does is it helps me network.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of people, I won't mention any of their names, that are in the real estate space that are using us, and it's really cool. So it helps build stronger connections for me to work with people that are basically bigger than me in real estate right now.
Yeah.
So we offer them a deal. We make it so it works for them, it works for us, and we go from there. Personal goal is that by the end of the year, we're hoping to open a full office in the Philippines for Real Agent Helper.
Nice.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. I'll have my first foreign business entity,
That's
if you
awesome.
know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've already talked to lawyers, stuff like that. We've been. My partner Pedro's looked at a few spaces. Let's see. We already hit our first CashFlow Kings business goal for the year, was to hit 10,000 followers, which was really nice on Instagram. Other goals for that. We have a big event coming up in May in a place called Fall River, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we consider Fall River to be what they call an emerging market in real estate. So with that emerging market, we're trying to teach other people, especially people that are just starting out buying their first triplex, to how to buy in those kind of markets. And basically that city is changing a lot because they're getting a new rail system from Boston. And Boston's a pretty hot market right now, so it's very expensive to live in Boston. So if you can go by train or commuter rail to one of the local cities, it's going to bring up housing prices a lot in that area, for better or for worse, but it'll allow people to make money. And, might as well help teach others how to make money in that space as well. So that's May 16th. So a personal goal is to fill that room, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
one step at a time. So let's see. Other goals. I'm not sure. We're going to sell a few of our single families this year, just for where we are in the market. Maybe be a general partner on another syndication, buy something hopefully in the 100-unit space. We'll see. And
Mm-hmm.
that's probably about it. I mean, I should have better goals. I had real strong goals last year. This year, my goals have not been as strong, but I will, at the same point, at a click of a switch and writing it down on a piece of paper, I could start a new goal tomorrow. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because again, what you mentioned, remember before we spoke, you said when I do stuff on a daily basis, like you said, you think about yourself as a lazy, and other people who are watching you from the side thinking like, oh my God, you have all these tasks done like in a day. It's crazy. So again, maybe what you look like right now for your like personal goals, you think like, it's, I don't think big goals, but somebody who's watching from the side, they're like, oh my God, these are big goals, like opening an office somewhere in Philippines, you're planning, you're probably gonna cross a 1K in doors under management. So, you definitely, doing big stuff, but for you, again, it just became a routine, and it's like, it's not a big deal for you, but it's awesome, definitely.
Yeah,
And
so for example, in March, I am speaking at this big 3-day convention in North Carolina, which is kind of cool. That'll be my first real major speaking engagement.
awesome.
It's not a money thing; it's a networking thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You start to build yourself out there.
Yeah, that is phenomenal. I love, the way that you're giving back again through the content, like the podcast, Instagram posts, they're funny, engaging, they're educating, and you're doing, you go and speak and all of that. So you're a go-giver for sure, man. So, because when you mentioned VAs, have you came across Neil Bawa before? You probably
I
got some.
I
Yeah,
know Neil Bawa very well. Him and I we hung out in Colorado this week.
yeah,
He does a great job with the virtual assistant space.
yeah.
He was actually on our podcast. He talked a little about virtual assistants on our podcast as well.
Yeah. So again, for the people who are watching, like you want to learn more about that. I mean, you can find episodes. I think we're going to be talking with him sometime in the future as well, because I spoke with him on Messenger, just like with yourself, and looking to have him on because he's a big guy when it comes to virtual assistants. So
So the biggest difference between him and us is that he keeps all of his virtual assistants in-house. Like he spends a lot more time on the hiring process, and now he's big enough that he has a system and everything else.
yeah,
We're more helping people that just need 1 or 2 VAs and aren't going to go crazy,
yeah,
and we interview hundreds to get one. So that's why
yeah.
a little difference. He's more of the big business kind of VA, and we're kind of like the small business and investor VA.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it. So, okay. So I love it, man. Like all the information, the story. I love the stories, by the way. And that's why I think people are coming here for the stories. Again, you have the story that is still in the making. You're going to accomplish some big things, this year and going ahead. Cause again, like business is a marathon. Like it's not a sprint. So like, it would be super awesome to have your own, like after 5 or 10 years and see where you are in that position. You're going to be huge by that time, so that's phenomenal, man.
Well, think
So
about it. It's all about the growth trajectory. As long as you keep moving forward every
yeah,
day, you're going to be fine.
exactly. So and you do that on a very rapid speed. So that's beautiful. So for the people who are watching and maybe they would like to get in contact with you, maybe ask a few questions or just to follow you on social media, what will be those platforms?
So, I mean, Frank Patalano, I am all over, whether it's on LinkedIn or Bigger Pockets, Facebook, all that stuff. If you really want to follow us a lot, the CashFlow Kings is on every single form of social media, whether it's TikTok or
Yeah.
Facebook, anywhere. We're there on Instagram, obviously, and we try to put out new stuff each and every day. Always giving cool like little memes or educational things. We had a meme last month that had 15,000 views. I'm like, yay, stuff like that. It was really cool.
Yeah. Oh, you do a lot on social media. I see that as well. Again with Instagram, and you're engaging a lot. So
My
that
my phone is blowing up as we speak, but that's fine. They can wait. This is more important right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. Again, guys, I'm going to include all the links as always down below, so we can go and follow up, with Frank and just engage with him. Just follow each other on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, because I know you're active on all these platforms. Facebook, like we connected. Go and subscribe to the podcast. I think you have a YouTube channel as well, right?
We do, yep.
So go and check it out, the YouTube channel, and just ask questions. Check it out, the free content, which they are giving a lot of free stuff. A lot of advice about real estate investing, money mindset, as he mentioned. So again, it's been a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show. I hope you had a good time. Well, sure I did. And guys, for you guys who are watching this episode, please like, subscribe to the channel, and as always, I'm gonna see you on the next episode. Thanks.